Welcome back to the show. Let's get you ready for that next big job. You're listening to the Master Your Lens podcast, episode 159.
Hey, John Lee Dumas here, the founder and host of EO Fire, and welcome to the Master Your Lens podcast, the photography podcast dedicated to sharing inspiring stories, technical tips, and powerful secrets to help you become a better photographer. And now, your host, Matthew Jordan Smith.
Hello, Photography Nation. I hope you're having a great week. I also hope you listened to last week's episode 158, How to Get Big Jobs, Part 1. Today, we're going to continue with this, how to get big jobs, those big photography jobs. Last week, we talked about the gear. How do you prepare for that big job? How do you visualize that big job? That is important once you get the job. But let's back up for 1 second, because today we're going to deal with how you get the attention of big clients so you can land that big job. So what would make a client hire you for their next big assignment? And for the moment, let's forget about what type of job it is, because for every client who hires anybody, that's a big job. Maybe it's a family portrait. Maybe it's a wedding. Maybe it's a newborn portrait. Maybe it's an advertising assignment. No matter what the job, to that client, it's a big job. And you should handle every job like it's the biggest job of your career. But let's get back to how you land those big jobs. Right now, a lot of people have more time than they've ever had before. Maybe they're in shelter in place, maybe they're not. Whatever the case, most people have more time than we've ever had before, which makes it a good time for you to get their attention. I recently watched a group of photographers look at an image that was impressive and began to try to figure out how to do that same type of image. That happens every single day. We see an image that grabs our attention. Let's stop there for a second. What image grabs your attention? We are all in a world where we are bombarded with images every single day. We are living at a time when we see more images than ever before. When there are so many images, how do you stand out and grab someone's attention so they want to hire you? Well, let's start with that picture that grabbed your attention. What was the last picture that made you stop and notice the image? Now, I'm not talking about your picture, because we all have this connection with our own work. But outside of your work, what was the last image that made you pause? There must have been something special about it to grab your attention. Well, that's what your clients want as well. They want something special, not just what you see every day, because anybody can do that. And if anybody can do that, you can't charge a premium. But what about that image that's a little different? If it makes you pause, it's going to make your clients pause as well. So right from the start, we know we must have something special about our images. Now, here's the funny thing. Everybody has something special about them, but it's not so easy for us to see what that is. The most important thing that you can do to land big clients, your next big client, is to discover what's special about you and add that to your work. Now, I know that sounds very simple, but it's not. It's not, because a lot of us see a beautiful image and admire it so much, we want to emulate that picture or copy that picture or make an image that looks the same as that image that grabbed our attention. I want to caution you against that. That photographer who made that image has found something special about their work, something that they felt. While I do agree, it's great to admire great work. Don't let that great work derail you from making your amazing work. Remember, there is something very special about you. The trick is for you to find what that is and put it into your work. Today, we are talking about how to get big jobs. And you get big jobs by getting people's attention. It's very hard to get the attention when you're following what everyone else is doing. Following the trend is easy, but if you really want more of those big jobs, you're going to have to take a stand and do something different. And that can be scary at times. It may lead to you being ridiculed by your peers, but I want you to ignore that. Your clients and your peers are two very different types of people. Your peers may be other photographers, and they are not hiring you. Your clients, on the other hand, they see your work and they identify with it. They connect with it. A lot of times, people are trying to stand out by changing their photography. But maybe there's nothing wrong with your photography. Maybe it's the presentation of your photography. Think about how everyone is presenting their work today. And what can you do that's different? For a moment, let's stop and think about a grocery store. These days, a lot of us spend most of our free time in a grocery store. If you're in shelter in place right now and staying home, the only time you're really getting out these days may be to go to the grocery store. And there are all types. There's the average grocery store, and then there's the high-end grocery store, like Whole Foods. What makes Whole Foods different than any other grocery store? It's the presentation, and for that, they charge more. You feel different when you walk into a Whole Foods grocery store versus your average grocery store. You may buy the same products, but the experience of going to Whole Foods feels very different. Now let's take that into your photography. The presentation makes a big difference. How you show your work makes a big difference. We live in a world where everybody is showing their work in the same way. But what if you change just one thing about your work, your presentation? Last year, 2019, I took a workshop on how to make paper. Now, many people may take paper for granted. What people touch makes an impression on them. What people see makes an impression on them. I went to a workshop last year to learn how to make Japanese paper called washi. Now, here's the funny thing. I went to an exhibit back in 2003, a long time ago. The pictures were amazing, but the paper was also amazing. I had no idea what this paper was called because at that time, I'd never seen anything like it. And I searched and searched and searched. And then when I finally gave up searching to find this very special paper, I saw a workshop online. It was a week-long workshop where for 1 week, a factory that makes paper taught you how to make this special Japanese paper. The company is called Awagami, the Awagami Factory, and they are in Tokushima, Japan. So I go to the workshop, and on day 1, you're given bark, tree bark, and you simply start by peeling the bark. By the end of this workshop, I had created my own beautiful handmade Japanese paper called washi, and it is very, very special. Now, earlier I told you I went to see an exhibit back in 2003 that blew my socks off. Halfway through my workshop, as they were showing some of the exhibits that they've printed for, guess what exhibit was there? Yes, the one I saw back in 2003, where I had no idea what paper this was. This paper was made by the Awagami factory in Tokushima, Japan. What are the chances of that? If you want to make an impression, stop thinking about changing your photography. Think about changing your presentation. Think about printing your images and coming up with an amazing presentation. If you want to get big clients, if you want that next big job, impress them with your presentation. Whole Foods works on their presentation, and because of that, they're able to charge more. Now, there are tons of grocery stores around that charge less, but people who want quality will buy their groceries at stores like Whole Foods. Think about your photography. There are a lot of people who are charging a lot less. But if you give quality and show it in your presentation, there are people who are going to want to hire you. If you're looking for your next big job, work on your presentation. Now, maybe you're wondering, Matthew, so I print on this Awagami paper. How do I show that, the quality, online? Well, let's first talk more about the Awagami factory. If you Google Awagami factory, Awagami, Awagami, the first thing you'll see is Awagami factory, Japanese washi paper online shop. Washi is the word for paper, but washi is not like any other paper that you may see. It's incredible. And yes, you can print on Awagami washi. You can also order online and get this very special paper. Now, when you click on the link, you'll see images in the factory of making this wonderful paper. If you are interested in going to the workshop takes place right there in the factory. I know it may be hard to travel right now, but when this crisis is all over and we can all travel freely, think about taking a workshop at the Awagami factory. It was an experience I will never forget. Now back to quality. The Awagami factory does make Inkjet photo paper. And if you click on the first link under Inkjet photo paper, you'll see a close-up of this paper. Now imagine your pictures on this paper. If you want to make an impression, this is a great way to start. Everyone is looking at pictures online. But what if you can give your clients something special that they can touch? Recently, one of my students spent a lot of time working on the quality and presentation. And she told me, and I quote, "I like the best and appreciate quality, so I know my clients will appreciate this type of packaging." Now I know the Awagami factory is in Japan, but they ship paper all over the world. And you can order some today. If you have your own printer, try a sample pack. In the sample, you'll be able to see which paper you like the best. Print an image on paper you may have now at home, and then print the same image on the Awagami washi. People are always looking for quality, and they're looking for something different. So how do you get big jobs? Show quality and show something different. If you've never seen washi paper, check out the Awagami factory. For the last year, I've been in love with this paper. And now, maybe you will too. Okay, so maybe now you're wondering, Matthew, how do I show quality online? How do I show my clients and future clients, potential clients, the quality of my work? Well, let me share what one of my students did. I have a student who did something incredible. Now, she did not print on washi, but she did print an amazing presentation. She's an amazing photographer with incredible lighting. She's put a lot of time to learn her craft and become better at her craft. So now that she's invested this time in her craft, will you just print that on normal paper and put it in a normal presentation? No. She went the extra step. And this is how she showed the quality online. She made a small video. In this video, all you see is her hands opening her packaging. It's beautiful. She opens this wooden box. Now again, she did not print this in Japan, but seeing the box definitely has a very Japanese sense. She opens this box, pulls out this beautiful presentation, this beautiful portfolio, and pulls out the prints. That's all she did. It's a short video. And like I said before, she said, Matthew, I like the best and appreciate quality, so I know my clients will appreciate this type of packaging. She also went on to say, from that presentation, I received 3 inquiries. 2 of those are very solid. People want something different. What can you do different to make your work stand out? What can you do to make you, as a photographer, stand out? Being different in any way that you can imagine will always help you stand out and excel and give you the ability to charge more. Let's take the artist Banksy. Part of the allure is that nobody knows what Banksy looks like. We don't even know if Banksy is a man or a woman, black or white. We just don't know. And that's part of the allure of Banksy. Now, what can you do to make your pictures different, to make your photography stand out? First and foremost, always work on your craft. Photography is very competitive. So in terms of your craft, you need to know your craft. But it doesn't stop there. It needs your special spin. What makes you different? Part of you getting those big jobs is you discovering what makes you stand out and then using it all the time. All right, Photography Nation, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Master Your Lens podcast. Next week, we'll be back with part 3 of how to get big jobs in photography. Stay safe, stay positive, and I'll see you back here next week on the Master Your Lens podcast. Always dream big. Bye for now.